This is the Brave New Coin Crypto Conversation, hosted by Andy Pickering.
Hi everyone, Andy Pickering here. I'm your host and welcome to the Crypto Conversation, a Brave New Coin podcast where we talk to the people building the future in the Bitcoin, blockchain and cryptocurrency space. My guest today is Adam Cata. Adam is the head of partnerships at Decentraland, the virtual social world that is created and owned by its users. Yes, indeed. I think fair to say that Decentraland is probably an early version of the Metaverse. Hey, welcome to the show, Adam.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Well, let's start with you, Adam. Please introduce yourself. Love to just hear a little bit about your background. I think you're an Aussie, which is quite cool. Always good to have an Aussie on the show. So tell us, what's your background and how did you end up at Decentraland?
That's correct. I'm born and bred in Melbourne, Australia. I've been fortunate enough to work abroad a number of times, but continue to come back here. Obviously, currently stuck with the current lockdown challenges, but we do what we can. My background's in intellectual property rights. I worked at Warner Brothers, across DC Comics and Harry Potter for a number of years, and started my own agency from there. But yeah, my being in crypto, it's always been something of interest in terms of blockchain, and deep dived into NFTs at the start of last year, and was really fortunate to sort of be forced to learn in real time with very little in terms of what probably is out there now about what a non-fungible token is in the smart contract. So it's kind of ingrained in me, being a smart contract romantic at times, and a big believer in Ethereum, to what the possibilities are in terms of the interoperability of a token, and it led down the path of the metaverse and with the virtual worlds. So I'd been dealing with Decentraland for the later half of last year, and some of the projects that I was working on, and just keen interest of exploring and networking, and we were able to conjure up a deal to get me on board at the start of this year. So it's been an amazing experience, to be able to continue to learn and evolve and have a finger on the pulse. Definitely makes the three time zone differences a lot easier to deal with.
Awesome. Well, I think most people listening to this, Adam, will be aware of Decentraland. They will have heard it. They may even have a reasonable idea of what Decentraland is. But let's hear it from you. Start from the top. What is Decentraland?
Yeah, it's a virtual social platform. It's built on the Ethereum blockchain. Every day, users enter the world to meet up. They play games, attend live events, trade in the marketplace, engage with brands, visit galleries, much more. The world is, run on a principle of decentralization, meaning there's no central point of ownership. It's owned and governed by the people who use it every day, which means that it's a pretty amazing human experiment at its core.
Yeah. So let's explain it a bit more then. So, how would you describe the difference between, say, a virtual world like Fortnite? So everyone knows Fortnite, and I think Fortnite probably is one of the most sophisticated virtual world environments available to play in at the moment. So if we've got the centralized Fortnite on one hand and the decentralized Decentraland on the other, what are the key differences?
4 years ago, Decentraland sold 90,000 parcels of land. That's the maximum that were there and available at the time. At that point, with 90,000 parcels of land being sold, it became a community-owned project, meaning that anyone that owned land had a form of governance, and the token mana was created at that point in time too, which is another voting right, as well as the platform currency. So the differences would be that decentralized, from a Decentraland perspective, that at that point when 90,000 parcels of land were sold, it became a community-owned and managed project. The foundation was set up, which is what I work with, and is a 225 million mana vested smart contract of funding from that sale. and a decentralized autonomous organization known as a DAO was also set up as well, meaning that there was 225 million mana also dedicated to the DAO itself for community-funded projects and see them as community grants. If you're a community member, you can apply for particular grants, you can put different proposals through, and there's a committee that run the DAO, but the community itself votes these things in. Same for that of the foundation. We look at it from a holistic perspective of building a better world and a better experience, but we don't play God, and we can't.
Yeah, this is fascinating, Adam. So, I mean, it's incredible, this idea that you can buy 3D virtual land. So, a lot of people are like, well, that doesn't mean much, but obviously there's enough early adopters that have jumped into the fray and have bought space within Decentraland. It's called land. And so the land is divided into parcels, right? And then, I think the land is then divided into what you guys call districts, right? So can you give us a sense of like how big the virtual Decentraland world is, how many districts there are? Is the land, finite, and how much is sort of traded and available for sale at any one time? Give us a sense of the scale.
Yeah, so each land is 16 by 16 meters. It's in particular, the more land that you own that's connected to each other, there's a simple math equation that basically allows you to have a certain poly count for your build. So, the amount of triangles in one space. And it also can help with the height of your build. So the more land that's attached to each other, the higher you can go, and the more poly counts. So that the from an aesthetic perspective, you could probably you don't have to sort of shave some of the textures away to make it fit. But the land itself, is a super interesting sort of philosophy of ownership. It is truly scarce. There's 90,000 parcels, and at that point in time, our marketplace has obviously grown exponentially over the last 4 years. What we hope is that people are, there are a number of them, a number of users that hold and either hold and sell or trade, and others that activate on this space. So from a foundation standpoint, we're here to hopefully inspire the community and give them the tools to be able to proactively continue to build and work through different funnels of how to add experience and value to a community of people.
Yeah, and so talk to us, Adam, about some of the existing buildings, galleries, establishments that are live at the moment in Decentraland that people can just go and visit. So I had a little walk around Decentraland yesterday. It's first I have before, but it'd been, I don't know when the last time I had a look around. It was a while ago, so I had another look around. And it's always quite, the first time anyone kind of jumps into an environment like Decentraland, it's a little bit of a tricky experience, right? Just as you kind of get your bearings and figure out how to move around, but it's pretty cool. Just being able to, part of the fun of it is it's just the random exploring. You don't know who you're going to meet or what you're going to see. So who can you meet and what are you going to see?
Yeah, so when you sign in, you've got two options. You can sign in with your digital wallet, i.e. your MetaMask, or you can sign in as a guest, which doesn't require any information, but you also don't have the option of collecting the NFTs or using the NFTs within your wallet itself within the platform. So who you can meet, it's ultimately up to like the time and place of the platform itself. But there are lots of different communities. The Discord is super engaged. We have a weekly newsletter that's released with events that the events from the prior week, as well as the events of the upcoming week, so that people have plenty of time to prepare, look over what they want to do. It is very event driven though, I feel, at this stage, but there are plenty of times where you can randomly just jump in and see what you can find. Some particular highlights for me were, like when Sotheby's, as a 300-year-old auction house, wanted to create an experience within Decentraland, and successfully have done that, whilst entering the NFT space. You can go there, you can have a look. It's open to everyone. It's a 1-to-1 scale of their Bond Street gallery in the UK. And yeah, it's been really interesting to sort of see them grow and develop over the last 6 months. You can imagine being a 300-year-old auction house. They've got brand assurance guidelines and the likes. But here they are exploring, a Bored Ape Yacht Club auction where they had a full takeover of their second floor in their building, where it was taken over by a swamp, and there were a whole heap of apes and other things walking around, which, 6 months ago, I would never have thought they would have been as relaxed to believe in what it meant to sort of explore the world of escapism to that degree. We've hosted events with Coca-Cola, which has been really, really interesting too. There's been, we're currently planning a music festival that it looks like a mid to late October release at this stage, which has an evolving stage over a number of days. It's a full experience, really leveraging the virtual world, and that there's no red line or engineering reports that are required to build what we need to do. And most recently, probably the Wall Street Bets experience, which hand on heart was it's been the best experience I've witnessed, where, Jamie and the team wanted to announce their first keynote in a virtual world experience. And, it felt almost that the keynote was secondary to the experience that they put on in the end, even though that was the primary objective, where you sort of entered Wall Street, where Wall Street Bets had taken over. There's lots of different experiences that you could look into. I don't know if you've had a chance to walk through it, Andy, but you then got to jump into a rocket and go to the moon and watch the keynote in the back of a Tesla Cybertruck, which, wacky, absurd, awesome things to say in one sentence.
Yeah, well, that's I'm glad you've brought up Wall Street Bets, because Adam, that's one of the things I wanted to ask you about, and I guess this is we'll come back to Wall Street Bets, but I hate to kind of bring it back to another Fortnite comparison, but I'm struck by so one of the things that Fortnite's been really good at is creating a virtual environment where all these different brand IPs are able to interact with each other in a way that's never before been possible, right? So that's obviously attracted a lot of attention and discussion. And I can see that, as head of partnerships at Decentraland, that's something that I'm sure will be very much on your radar as you guys try and do something very similar. And I think NFTs are such an important part of that, because it means that not only the problem with Fortnite, of course, is everything's locked into that Fortnite environment, but NFTs mean that you can kind of go in and out of Decentraland with those NFTs. But yeah, well, maybe so I'd love to sort of hear your thoughts on this, what other kind of partnerships you're working on, but feel free to start with the Wall Street Bets guys and what you're working on with them, because there's an NFT component to that as well, isn't there?
Correct. Look, like I touched on before, with a non-fungible token, I think the utility and benefits that a lot of people speak about can be really explored within a virtual world. It doesn't have to just be a digital scarce asset anymore. It can be something that holds a huge amount of utility within a virtual world experience. So the hypothetical would be that, If you hold a particular token, you can get particular access to a build or a scene that is only for those that are the token holders of that NFT. And at a very basic level, that would mean that there's exclusivity to a meet and greet or a conversation or a networking opportunity, which increases the demand on the limited supply of that particular token. I think one of the most interesting parts about Decentraland is how people can really explore their own identity within the space itself. I don't know, Andy, what you decided with your avatar, but the reality is that, we've built an SDK for wearables, which are digital garments, but there are a number of third parties that are delivering amazing garments to the market too. And these come with limited scarcity, being NFTs in their own right. And when considering the different projects that come across, and if we look at Wall Street Bets, what they're wanting to offer within the virtual world experience is secret and exclusive access to meet and greets, keynotes, panel discussions, and that comes with really great value. But ultimately the other part of it as well is that they're planning to do airdrops of wearables so that you have Wall Street Bets digital garments that you can wear, and that are only for those that have the token, because you can airdrop for free and continue to add benefits to that token holder itself. So there's many people that have explored things. Alice in Wonderland, she's an electronic musician and DJ. She launched a 10,000 generative project. So she's a really large community of people that believe in her project itself. And you can now go to her. Basically, that token holds, it's your virtual all access pass to anything that she does within Decentraland. So if she's playing and doing a DJ set with her or any of her friends, you can go. If she's got a competition where she's got a game, you can go and only access that if you hold that particular token. But I think, at its core, Decentraland's a, community first project. So, there's a freemium model to everything. There's obviously the added benefits of holding particular tokens that are in your wallet that give you additional things. But that is ultimately up to the landowner at the end of the day of those builds and what they grant you access to. But there is so much of that map that you can explore without anything. And, it is special when you consider that NFTs have grown in terms of people's understanding of them to be just more than that digital scarce asset that's on the blockchain, right?
I think you're right, Adam, when you say that it's about community, right? Whether it's an NFT project or a crypto coin or a virtual world, you need that community for it to be viable and for the ecosystem to grow and evolve. And I guess it is particularly powerful when you start to bring communities together. So again, like you're talking about Wall Street Bets and giving their community access to various, I guess, activations in Decentraland. So is something like that, is that a partnership between Decentraland and Wall Street Bets that is kind of ongoing? And so the vision there is just to, I suppose, grow both communities and benefit each other, right?
Of course, they've got a long-term plan. They hold land in Decentraland and, have many different builds and experiences that we'll be helping them with deploying. I think the benchmark that they're setting is phenomenal, but you got to work within the limitations of a browser-based platform as well. So, and that's the reality that, we all live in currently within the level of the technology where it's at. So, but in saying that, the more that they continue to do, the more value that they add to their community, and the more that they're probably wanting to explore different things. But, at the core of it, there's consistency and to the events that they're planning to do. And there's, added value across the board in terms of how, they know community, Wall Street Bets, and they also, have a different offering to most in terms of what they can offer within the utility of a token, even outside of the virtual world. I think it's really interesting to explore the fact that they've, got their own DApp on Binance and this NFT token can also give you higher yields on that liquidity pool, which is activated and there for people to get benefits from. How they then explore that in the virtual world is like all those different experiences and events that they're planning to do too. So yeah, I think when looking at partnerships and how we can work with different IP and different entities, for us, it's how we can make sure that there's a great precedent in the market about inspiring the community of what they can do and how they can go about it. We're here really to help onboard anyone, that wants to come through Decentraland, and we don't want people walking in the dark to try and explore it either. So, our team, which is under the marketing and growth remit, are there in the community event side of the foundation. We're here to really help, that process come to life.
Nice, Adam. And so, well, I guess if there's, crypto projects out there that are interested in a partnership, then obviously they just talk to you. If there's just casual users that want to explore Decentraland, they know how to do that. Talk to me about how the building works, because I had a little look at this yesterday, and so from what I can see, there's sort of, I guess the easy way to explain it is there's two ways to build. One is a simple drag and drop, which is a bit more basic, but that's for your average person who's perhaps not a coder. And then there's obviously the more sophisticated coding toolbox for people who want to build something a bit more sophisticated. So put that into context. Like if someone wants to, they're just one person, they want to come along, they've bought some land, you just buy some Decentraland on OpenSea, and then they're like, okay, I want to build a milkshake stand. How do they do it? How much work's involved?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, Andy, there's a builder that you can sort of drag and drop walls, a couch, a pirate ship if you wanted to. That's within the SDK builder, or you can reach out to a number of different third parties, and it's been really nice to see the ecosystem around Decentraland build. The teams that I've witnessed sort of grow from a single person to a team of 30 within the last 12 months is it shows that not only is there interest, but people have been able to not only really focus on a opportunity where they may have just done this as a hobby or an interest of theirs, that have been able to build out an entity and have staff now to support the demand. So they're very talented people that have a mix of 3D modeling experience and coding experience. And the reality is that without underquoting anyone, because there's no demolition, there's no red line, there's no engineering reports. The flexibility of being able to evolve that initial build it exists. So Wall Street Bets and their Wall Street takeover can evolve to something else tomorrow. And things may take between an average of 3 to 5 weeks for something of the degree that you're probably seeing in Decentraland across the board. If you go to any of the if you go and see Super Rare or Maker's Place or any of the NFT marketplace galleries that have their own builds, they're a 3 to 5 week build. Most third parties would charge somewhere around $15,000 to $25,000 to do. And when you consider, that some of the things that we've got virtual headquarters by Kraken, which is an exchange, or Binance or Consensus, which are real extensions of their About Us sections and educational resources of their current website in a virtual landscape. There's multiple ways that people can explore how they want their scene to connect with the community. So, there's maintenance and management just like any website. But the foundation is here to, especially from the partnerships side of things, to help that process along. And if there's partners that are wanting to trial, we're happy to connect with the third party entities that we continue to use on a weekly, daily basis, and also connect. There's on the same level. There's just like there's crypto, there's voxel architects. There's also digital garment fashion designers that we can connect people with, so that they can have their wearables created. The process of being able to publish them and get them approved by the committee and the DAO, it's all there. It's humbling to see how it's evolved, this ecosystem that sort of supports the community on a regular basis.
And who's the typical user at the moment, in terms of people that are interested in really participating in that Decentraland community and spending time there and participating in builds? And I guess I'm because if you think of all the kids over the last 10 years, right, that have grown up in Minecraft, and there are some similarities between building in Minecraft and perhaps something like Decentraland. Obviously, there are differences as well. But is there any comparison, and sort of how do you make it accessible for people who perhaps have a love of building digital environments, to kind of make that switch? Because there's a little bit of friction, obviously, in migrating to a decentralized blockchain-based architecture, as opposed to just Minecraft on an iPad, right? But once you kind of get over that initial friction, the possibilities and, of course, the abilities to monetize, etc., that's really attractive. Do you see that transition happening, I guess? And as your user base growing, what kind of metrics are you watching?
Totally. There's so much documentation being an open source platform, and that's probably the thing that I'd love to touch on. The reality of most other metaverse virtual worlds is that the interoperability of code is just, it doesn't exist. They're closed gates. Whilst with Decentraland, our perspective is that we want anyone and everyone to play with each other. That's from metaverses and virtual worlds to tokens that people particularly hold, and those that want to enter it, have the documentation to be able to do what they want to do. Like you could just go into GitHub and see what it exists, or go to the platform itself and read the documentation on how to create a wearable on your own. How to submit one. Same for that of the build, and there's an active Discord community that you can reach out to if you've got questions. There's a lot there for someone to be able to trial and experience. But my advice is to do exactly that. You're not going to come in knowing everything, and you're going to continue to learning every time you're doing something, right? So within the platform itself. So if someone's aspiring to want to do something, the best and the first stop is to reach out to community first and see if there's tips and hints and other parts. Do some further reading, which all of it's on the website itself, and then start to explore and build and design and do your thing. I think my taking of it all is that building a network and connecting with lots of different people, you meet all walks of life. It's a crypto native platform first and foremost, so it is difficult to work out the demos and the geolocations, but it looks like from all the data that it's very widespread across the world. We're seeing our active users that are unique, at a all-time high of around 100,000 a month. The growth from December, where we were averaging about 8,000 unique visitors a month. So it's been since March, it's definitely stabilized a lot more, but the growth has been there. Mana as a token continues to offer great utility, but it doesn't limit the holder or the user to wanting to have to use that either outside of the platform marketplaces. I look at Decentral Games, which is a really interesting sort of entity. They've got a gambling license and host a number of casinos within Decentraland's Vegas district. You can spend Ethereum, you can use their token, and you can also use Mana and a stable coin. You've got the option, being the landowner and what you want to do and how you want to integrate things within the platform. I'll probably digress too much, but my perspective is that, if you're inquisitive enough, there's a community waiting for you there to help guide you through, and there's enough documentation there that has been developed and evolved over the last couple of years to help those on board as easily as possible.
Nice, Adam. And look, just as we finish off this part of the podcast, I'd love to get your perspectives on, Metaverse has become very much a buzzword in 2021, right? So much so that you've had a month or two ago, we had Mark Zuckerberg saying that he sees Facebook transitioning into a Metaverse company. And as fun as that sounds a bit scary because, let's be frank, Facebook are kind of sucky at most things, really, especially from a crypto perspective. On the other hand, you've got, Tim Sweeney, he's even closer to building a metaverse with Fortnite. And as much as in some, I kind of see Tim Sweeney as the good guy fighting against, Apple with, the iOS, the App Store and all that stuff. But again, it's the big centralized party. So really the best vision for a metaverse future is something like Decentraland, where it is decentralized and community owned and governed. Obviously, a fully functioning metaverse is some time away, but I guess just in that context, what do you see? I don't even know what the question is here, Adam, but just your perspectives and where's the technology at and how much more does it need to mature for, X amount of people to be on Decentraland at one time and sort of, have the platform be stable, all that kind of stuff.
Totally. I think two-pronged approach. One, perspective on Metaverse. It's a really interesting topic, Andy. At the end of the day, my understanding and my beliefs of what a metaverse is have obviously evolved over the number of years. What I thought it was when I watched, a movie called Ready Player One, or, playing Second Life, it was very streamlined and focused to one perspective. It was this virtual world. Whilst, considering that, you and I right now are talking over a Zoom, I'd classify this as the metaverse. This here is the metaverse. People have been exploring and experiencing the metaverse for many years now, in my eyes. Being on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or the likes of any other virtual hangout. I think technology has allowed us to be able to connect in different ways, and that's probably, and Decentraland and virtual worlds are just an extension of the metaverse itself. Where Decentraland, it is a really unique and special place to be. The community, are like-minded individuals. At the end of the day, decentralized platforms are, super beneficial to a lot of different people that probably don't realize, what this actually would mean to someone. But, it has its appeal, but it also has its limitations, and currently within the technology of blockchain, being on Ethereum, we've done a few things to move, our wearables over to Polygon, which is a layer 2 protocol, to help the ease of trade and transfer and buy of digital garments, the wearables. But, I think the exciting time for us is what we've been building towards, which, being on a browser has its limitations. It does, have a heavy load on a client's GPU. Unless you have a decent PC or laptop, it will prove challenging until you fix your settings. But they're things that we're all working through, and I'm really, really excited about where its focus is, and that's to take it off browser and on desktop. And I do think at that point it will open up a whole heap of different opportunities and benefits to the player, that's what we're just dealing with, and we're privy to it. I think the community is so forgiving, especially within crypto in general. Sometimes not so much around, the market itself, but more so, the experience that's there. I feel like the community at hand know that we're in development and know that it can't expect an A-grade platform 100% of the time, but, like the perspective is that, we continue to evolve, we continue to learn, we continue to hire, and, the understanding of the devs and the engineers, from what we were, 2 years ago, 4 years ago, we have better talent, stronger talent, more developed talent, to be able to deliver what we need to do. But, our focus is around that, dealing with the limitations of what it is to be on a browser and, where we need to go next, which isn't too far off. Within tech, we're always going to have to expect delays of some kind, but we are aiming for the end of year, early next year, to be able to move this from browser. So it's super exciting. It's where it needs to be. And I think that would help within our growth strategies well into the future where it needs to go.
Awesome. Very exciting to hear, Adam. Look, we've done 35 minutes, but let's finish off with what I like to call the very famous crypto conversation hot take round. So what I like to do, Adam, is I just finish off the show with a quick round of rapid fire crypto conversation hot takes. Are you up for it?
Go for it.
All right, just want quick, snappy answers, Adam. Here we go. Where would you say that you sit on the Bitcoin maximalist to multi-coin opportunist spectrum?
There's an equilibrium, I feel. I'm impartial in that one.
All right, fair enough. Hey, well, what would you say, Adam, is your firmest conviction, crypto opinion?
It's a good question. I don't know how quick I can answer that one. Can you repeat it one more time?
Yeah, of course I can. What would you say, Adam, is your firmest conviction, crypto opinion?
That is volatile.
Yes. I like it. Hard to argue with that. All right. Well, hey, Bill Gates famously said that we tend to overestimate what we can accomplish in 2 years and underestimate what we can accomplish in 10. So I know this is speculative, but what does anything you like, crypto, a blockchain, the Metaverse, Decentraland, what does it look like in 10 years' time?
Geez, Andy, that's a deep. You could have sent this one across, so I could have had to think about. Look, 10 years is a long time,
Yes.
and it's crazy to think, what we've been able to develop in a year or two, and where people's understandings are, in terms of just ownership of assets, right, and on the blockchain. I think, in 10 years, I'd like to see a real bridge between the physical and the digital world, where, the value of opportunity is equal across most, but the utility of what we can do and the access that we have is seamless. And I look forward to that day where, we're able to transfer goods within a ledger that is accepted within the mainstream population and governments. I look forward to the days that people can have a sense of digital ownership and independence from what they currently are dealing with in real life right now. I look forward to all those things. I don't know when that may happen and how that may look in 10 years, but what gets me excited, I'm highly inspired by the digital world, but it's the reason to why is because of that transparency, and I really do hope that it continues to evolve, but that people can find different ways to be able to do what they want to do independently from what they're limited to today. So that's in the crux of it. I'd love that. If that happens in 10 years or not, I'm not sure.
Well, look, similarly, Adam, William Gibson said that the future is already here. It's just not evenly distributed. Very famous quote. Can you think of an example of the future being here right now, but most people just aren't really aware of it?
Yeah, I think people, yes. So I think people don't realize that, that they can work within crypto or work within blockchain and be able to do certain things, or be able to be independent enough to see the value of what the proposition can be. Not financial advice. It's more so, being able to do things that are, within a community of people that don't have to, like I look at what I do within Decentraland and how I consult outside of it. I think the flexibility of being here with the technology at hand, even with its limitations, allows you to do so much. So I feel, the crux of it is that it's here. We're just dealing with, the internet back in '95.
Yes, that's exactly right. All right, well, time to finish this off, Adam. Time to get a little bit weird. Time to zoom out. What do you see as the long-term future for the human race? Do you see a dystopia or utopia?
I'm a romantic. I really do hope to see that there is peace, and honestly, and then that's all I hope for. Health and peace. Really, I sound like I've just won a competition for I've lost my thought.
Well, that's okay. Health, peace, and long-term prosperity. It's a Star Trek utopian vision, which kind of leads us to the final question here. As always, what is your favorite science fiction book, film, show, or universe?
I'm a Star Wars fan, so I'll take that.
Nice. Yeah. Hard to argue with that. All right. Well, look, I'll tell you what, Adam, this has been a lot of fun. Close this out. Nothing else to say really, except tell the people where they can go to find you on your various platforms, where they should go to learn more about Decentraland, and even if they want to engage with the Wall Street Bets Decentraland collaboration, how can they find out more about that partnership and what's going on?
So just head to decentraland.org. All the documentation's there. You can sign in with your digital wallet or play as a guest. Wall Street Bets has their NFT raffle currently live, and their build. All of that information's on wsbcollectibles.io. You can also find it on the Wall Street Bets Twitter and their Wall Street Bets DApp Twitter as well. And for me, feel free to reach out over LinkedIn. My Twitter is Run It Wild, so that's the handle. I don't use it, but feel free to DM me. I'm forever on it reading, but I'm just not active. LinkedIn or Twitter, it's probably the best place to find me. I look forward to working through whatever questions someone might have. I always find it interesting, day in, day out.
Awesome. I'll be can't wait to see Decentraland continue to evolve. Thanks for coming on the show, Adam. All the best, and bye for now.
Appreciate it, Andy. Thanks.
All right. Well, there you go. That was Adam from Decentraland. Very interesting. We were just talking at the end of the show, and he was describing it as just a grand human experiment. And man, I like that a lot. I can't think of a better way to describe Decentraland or a lot of what is happening in crypto. Just a grand human experiment for good. Pretty cool. I hope you enjoyed the show. This was the Crypto Conversation for Brave New Coin. See ya.